All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. So before we dive into these topics, do me a favor. If you end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. And if you are new here to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We're starting here with a very significant update regarding the Sony Kadokawa potential acquisition. It seems like a deal was struck. This is being reported by Push Square. Sony, it seems, will not acquire Kadokawa outright. Instead, the giant Japanese organizations have today announced a strategic capital and business alliance, which will see Sony become Kadokawa's largest shareholder. The deal, scheduled to go through on January 7th, 2025, will see Sony purchase 12,054,100 fresh shares in the company for a fee of 50 billion yen or $320 million. It already owned a 2% stake. A press release reads, quote, "With the acquisition of the new shares, Sony will become Kadokawa's largest shareholder, holding approximately 10% of its shares, including the shares Sony previously acquired in February 2021. The correspondence continues that the tightened relationship will maximize both companies' IP value globally and facilitate wider and deeper collaboration, such as potential joint investments in the content field, joint discovery of new creators, and joint promotion of further media mixes of both companies' IP. It also says in the future, the two companies plan to discuss specific initiatives for collaboration, such as initiatives to adapt Kadokawa's IP into live-action films and TV dramas globally, co-produce anime works, expand global distribution of Kadokawa's anime works through the Sony Group, further expand publishing of Kadokawa's games, and develop human resources to promote and expand virtual production. Through this capital and business alliance, we will become the largest shareholder of Kadokawa, which consistently creates a wide variety of IP, including publications and books, such as light novels and comics, as well as games and anime. This is what Sony boss Hiroki Totoki said. By combining Kadokawa's extensive IP and IP creation ecosystem with the strength of Sony, which has promoted the global expansion of a wide range of entertainment, including anime and games, we plan to work closely together to realize Kadokawa's global media mix strategy aimed at maximizing the value of its IP and Sony's long-term vision, creative entertainment vision. So this is, I would say, the ideal outcome of the situation. As we know, apparently Sony was interested in Kadokawa, but not acquiring all of them. They were really just interested in the gaming and anime sector, which makes a lot of sense. But Kadokawa, as we know, based off of previous reporting, actually wanted Sony to fully acquire them because they were under threat of being taken over by a Korean company. So this seems like it will prevent that from happening, and both parties will be able to get what they want out of this deal, where Kadokawa will be able to remain independent, but Sony will be able to work much more closely with them and have a much bigger say in what they do and how they approach things. So there you go. That's the big update when it comes to Sony and Kadokawa. Moving on to the next topic, a new partnership with PlayStation and AMD was just casually announced by PlayStation's lead system architect, Mark Cerny. They just released a PS5 Pro technical seminar at SIE HQ. This is about a 40-minute video that was posted on PlayStation's official YouTube channel. And, you know, this is the video that I thought we were going to get when the PS5 Pro was first announced, but it seems like Sony wanted to wait a little while. And Mark pretty much breaks down everything in great detail about this console. But a write-up here from Push Square says, this is a very interesting video if you're into the tech hardware side of things, but a segment towards the end of the presentation is perhaps most noteworthy. Mark Cerny reveals that PlayStation and AMD are partnering on a new project called Amethyst, which will see the companies collaborating on two goals centered around machine learning. The first goal is a more ideal architecture for machine learning, something capable of generalized processing of neural networks, Cerny says. He continues explaining they're working towards a democratization of machine learning, providing developers with the means to utilize it for graphics and gameplay. The second goal is to create a set of high-quality CNNs, or convolutional neural networks, for game graphics, which should be key in increasing the richness of game graphics, as well as enabling more extensive use of ray tracing and path tracing, Mark Cerny says. Given the extent of this multi-year collaboration, this effectively confirms the PS6 will feature AMD hardware, which lines up with leaked information we got a little while ago. So this is, I would say, very interesting, because hearing Mark Cerny talk in depth about the PS5 Pro in extreme detail and going over every single aspect, it becomes abundantly clear why Sony went through with the PS5 Pro. It's because it is essentially a test bed for new technologies that Mark and his engineering team believe will be the future when it comes to not just PlayStation, but gaming as a whole. And this is the first step, right? This is the test bed, and something like machine learning or, AI upscaling, they're going to need time to iterate on this. But what's really interesting when talking about Mark Cerny going over these two main goals with this partnership of AMD is, I would say, the fact that when it comes to what they're looking to achieve, it's not going to be something proprietary that's just like exclusive to PlayStation. What he is working on with AMD is something that is going to, well, based off of my takeaway here, it sounds like they want to set a new industry standard. That's basically what their end goal is here, which is why they're not trying to make it some proprietary Sony or PlayStation thing. And that is, I would say, the biggest takeaway from what Mark Cerny had to say here, because we know that there's PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. We know that Sony's going to continue to kind of focus on their own ecosystem. But when it comes to the wider goals within the gaming sector, PlayStation is looking, they're looking out there in a very broad way. And I think that's wise, because it's clear where we're headed in the future. And, individuals like Mark Cerny, very intelligent individuals, absolutely understand that, tech in gaming, when it comes to advancements and being able to kind of innovate, it's going to have to extend well beyond just, looking at it from a single sector, that being the console sector. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what comes of this new partnership. But yeah, it's always great to hear from Mark Cerny. Moving on to the next topic, continuing to talk about the PS5 Pro, we have a report here that gives us some sales data being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle. It has been a little over a month since the PS5 Pro launched. Although many criticize Sony for the enhanced console's pricing, it seems PlayStation fans still opted for the upgrade. During November 2024, it accounted for a good chunk of PS5's overall sales. Circana executive director and video game industry analyst Matt Piscatella posted their November 2024 US video game marketing highlights on Blue Sky. In their analysis, they found that the PS5 was the best-selling hardware platform for the month, both in unit and dollar sales. PlayStation 5 Pro accounted for 19% of total PS5 units sold in the month and 28% in dollars. Launch month dollar sales of PS5 Pro were more than 50% higher than the November 2016 launch sales of the PS4 Pro, while overall unit sales were down 12%. While PS5 hardware saw growth, video game hardware spending growth in November 2024 was flat compared to last year. November video game hardware spending was flat when compared to a year ago at $927 million. 15% spending growth on PS5 hardware was offset by a 29% year-on-year drop in Xbox Series spending and a 3% decline in the Switch. So for me, the key takeaways here are, starting with the PS5 Pro. In the US, sales were down only 12%, and I will be honest with you, I would have expected that number to maybe be a little bit greater than 12%, considering it was a $300 more expensive console compared to the PS4 Pro. So overall, I'd have to imagine Sony's pretty happy with those results. But, PS5, number one again. I also want to highlight how down Xbox is once again. Minus 29% year-on-year spending for hardware. So, It's worth noting that this was the launch month of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the first, game that's fully marketed by Microsoft and obviously in Game Pass. But Game Pass or not, I'll be honest, man, you would think that at the very least, this would move the needle by like 1%, right? Like it would be plus 1% at the bare minimum. Still seeing a 30% drop now that you fully own Call of Duty. It's fully marketed by you. I mean, that's kind of nuts. I'm not going to lie, but it is what it is. I guess at this point in time, there's really just nothing that's going to move the needle for Xbox hardware. It's just on a downward spiral, unfortunately. Just wanted to kind of throw this out there. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.